What's up, Model Geeks? Hey, it's Brian, and we're going to do a stash update because it's February. 6 whole days into February, so that means it's okay to go ahead and do a stash update. So, let's see. First of all, we're going to talk about a bit of nostalgia on our part because our friend Dan Doan has come through once again with a couple of really sweet kits. And chief among them is this Chevy Stepside pickup from MPC. And this one is really special to me because I remember this one being in my dad's garage. He started working on it for me. I remember asking if he could paint it gold, and he was like, "Are you sure?" But yeah, I stood my ground, and he went ahead and painted it gold. And I remember that was the undoing of this kit because the gold paint that we had used was some sort of rattle can from back in the day, back in the early 80s. And it took forever for that gold paint to cure up, so we couldn't touch it for like weeks. And it just got put in a box and lost in the garage and never to be seen again, so it got lost to history. But I always remembered this kit, especially these wacky decals on here that look like crushed velvet. So I always thought that that was like a golden velvet deal. But yeah, I just remember that this as being one of those nostalgia kits that I had an eye out for, and I remember mentioning it to Dan, and he's like, "Oh, I got one of these in the stash." The only deal is that it didn't have a bed on there. It does have a bed from some other kit. It's molded in black, whereas everything in here is molded white. And the bed had so much glue on it that it actually had warped the bed, and it's not salvageable. So we're bedless on the back here for right now. I'm not worried about it because it's not on the build docket for this year at least. And if we do build this, I do intend to shorten up the frame right in here because I believe MPC was using the same chassis for several different other vehicles that had this particular front end on it. Maybe like a car hauler or maybe something with a camper shell, or maybe just a long bed fleet side, something like that. So a long bed step side doesn't proportionally look very good, in my opinion, because of this long gap here. And you can tell by the box art that they're trying to disguise that just a little bit. And I feel that if we're going to tackle this dude, that we're going to shorten that up a little bit there and make it a little more proportionally correct. So again, thank you, Dan, for this awesome gift. And it does have the motorbike in there with chrome bits and everything. That's kind of a cool deal. So that's a nice little addition to the kit. Again, see here they're hiding the fact that it's a long bed step side. So they knew what they were doing. So. Thanks for the wonderful gift there, Dan. I appreciate that. Oh, also this kit is, let's see, we're saying 1974 for this particular issue, so that's nice. That's younger than me, but as old as my sister. And if she watches this, I'm going to get slapped. Also from Dan, we got a really cool Vette van kit. These I always thought, when they start doing crazy stuff with Corvettes and stuff, especially this particular body style, it's always been a lot of fun. And I like how the headlights are molded open. Dan and I were just discussing the box art and stuff. He says he didn't like the way that the headlights are molded. He would have liked to have seen them pop up, or maybe the lenses over the light type of thing. And then he also happened to just mention in passing that this is kind of more of a styling thing rather than a functional thing, because if we can look back here, we actually see the exhaust coming out the back underneath the car, as it would be in a stock version rather than the lake pipes. So kind of a cool styling cue. I do like lake pipes on Corvettes, but I don't think it has to have that. And here's the thing. Here's a nice profile shot of it. For some reason, I'm getting a real Darth Vader vibe off of this type of Vette van here. And I was looking at the date on there, and check it out. 1977. How about that? That's the year Star Wars came out. So what do you know about that, huh? I do know that there was Star Wars, I guess Star Wars oriented vehicles that came out by, I think, MPC back in the day. I think there was a TIE Fighter van and some other kind of weird things that were like in the 1/32 scale. But yeah, it's just crazy that I got a Darth Vader vibe off of this, and then I see that it's actually a 1977 vehicle. So that's kind of a fun deal. And then moving on to something that is absolutely cool. I did a quick search on Google for Johan kits, just out of curiosity, and it took me to an eBay store that was selling some stuff. It was like somebody, it was like Joe's Vintage shop or something like that out up in Ohio or some jazz. And he had, like, this was his only model kit he had listed. And I showed it to Mrs. BG, and she knew that this was on the list of stuff, on the list of wants. And she actually typed in an offer because it was a best offer. And we actually won it. So for what I would consider a very reasonable price for something of this vintage and rarity, we did pretty well. Now, what's funny about Johann kits, as far as I'm concerned, is it's really hard to date them because there is no material on the box dating it, nothing inside. Of course, there's no MPC symbol, and it does have that vintage look to it. So I'm pretty certain that this is you know, something from back in the day. Maybe not first run. I don't really care about that kind of stuff, but it is definitely an older kit. The decals do have a little bit of whatever happened here. I'm not quite sure, but we can probably salvage that somehow. And then we're not going to go through everything in the box because it's going to run a little long here, but we'll just bring out the cool stuff here. So we have white wall tires, which I didn't know they did back then. So I'm not sure if these are original to the kit or not, but they are very, very nice. And then, our siren lights, our emergency lights, very cool. And then they look like little tiny toe beans. And then our body is actually in really good shape. It does show a little bit of box rash up around here. And I suppose that's from the fact that Johann kits seem to come in boxes that are a little bit too small for what they're selling. Because it was like literally a shoebox. And man, it's just molded really, really nicely. And this is just so cool. And for this type of vintage type of thing, it's kind of neat to see these exhaust pipes molded and kind of free floating like that. Just very, very slick stuff. I guess Johann was one of those model making people that just kind of went a little bit beyond what they needed to on some things. That's debatable, I suppose, but again, pretty cool. There's nothing in the instructions here that gives us an actual dating of it. The instructions do have a nice patina to them, I guess is the best way to say that. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting into this one here sometime soon, perhaps. Obviously not this year, of course, because we are slammed to the wall with all kinds of other stuff. And we may actually have to back out of a couple of builds too, due to circumstances beyond my control, which I'm trying to control, meaning health issues. So let's cut to the coup de grace and get out the big boy, because this thing is fantabular. And we're going to set it like that. And check this out. International Payhall 350 construction truck. Holy crap, this thing is absolutely awesome. It's number 13 in the series. I think it was the truck series. I don't know if it was international specific, but this was made back in the day when Erdl really meant something in model kits, because this is from 74, according to the instructions inside, the copyright date on the instructions. And this is kind of cool. It opens up like a giant cake box to do the unveiling of what's inside of here. It's very dramatic, you know. So we start off with a nice looking specification sheet. We're just going to breeze through this real fast here. I cannot read that fast, and I will not read it to you, but you can pause it if you want to, as long as it doesn't blur out or whatever. So, I mean, that is just awesome, an awesome piece of memorabilia to have for this particular type of machinery. And yes, we did buy this for the intention of putting it in the Universal Construction Vehicle series, but then I realized this is more of an open pit mine type of thing, and that's not really what Universal Construction is supposed to be about. So this would be more of a universal deconstruction type of thing. This is an actual booklet that's even stapled together with actual rusty staples. And it's molded in cheddar cheese yellow, I guess is the best way to describe that. It is molded in 3 different colors. We have cheddar cheese yellow, we have this beautiful cream color that we see on the cab, and then black bits down there. And the interesting thing about this one is our tires are actually hard plastic. They're more of a toy tire type of thing, but it does have Goodyear stamp on there. They are 2-piece tires. They have a front and back side. I'm not worried about that, because these actually represent what they're supposed to be. They're not actual toy tires. But yeah, we'll just give you an overhead shot here. Dang, that's awesome. Well, you know, if you guys want, I can do an open box review on this to get in more in-depth on what's going on here, because we are running a little bit long. We don't want to waste your time since it's very, very precious. So there we have it. That's our stash report for February. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again for all the support and kind words, you guys. It's really, really appreciated. Remember to tune in on Saturday for our drawing when we announce the winners for that. And we'll see you a little bit later on. Okay, take it easy, and bye now.